All right, I'm having some senior moments here because none of this is working. So I'm doing my best. Thank you for your patience. Get these cards in frame. Awesome. Hopefully that's working now. It's been a while since I've done a live stream, and so I appreciate your patience with me on this. Yeah, it was like, I don't know, it wasn't filming in landscape mode, and then it was like filming reverse where it was showing me, and then it's all kind of stuff. So I just figured let's just start over. So that's what we're doing right now. So let me head over and refresh so I can see the chat, because as of right now I can't see anything. Here we go. You might hear an audio double here in a second.
Mike Fort Myers.
Nope. Uh, Ads. There we go. Ace, be good, buddy. All right. So we're good. I got everything here. All right, good. And the audio works perfect. Okay, excellent. So that way, if anyone pops up in the chat, I can jump in. This was kind of impromptu. The main reason is because I wanted to do this today, and but I just didn't know if I was going to be able to schedule it. Our routine has been off a little bit lately, ever since our surgery, as far as like, switching and fronting and all that stuff. So I was just like, I want to do a live stream, and I want to open these. These are Ghost Rider trading cards, and let me know about the quality. Like, I don't know if is the quality good. Can you, it looks really jumpy, the footage. So you guys let me know in the chat. Hang on a second. All right. Sweet. So if anyone's watching, yeah, just jump in the chat. Let me know. Does everything look jumpy? Looks a little jumpy from my end, so that's why I'm asking. I might be having internet issues today. So, but the audio sounded fine. It sounded like it wasn't skipping. So I'll wait and see if someone can answer that, and then if so, or if not, we'll keep going like everything's normal. But recently I've been selling a lot of stuff. You guys have probably seen. I know haven't been uploading a ton of videos. I recorded a good handful before my surgery, and this one just took a little bit longer to bounce back from. And even though I went back to work like a week after the surgery, I still went back to work a little too soon. So I've been I hide as much as I can, but it's been a lot the last 3 weeks or so. But I've also been doing this big purge with Blue, just selling off old things and finding homes for them. Sometimes taking very little for them, sometimes offering to take little, and people being like, "No, I'll give you a few dollars more. You're underselling it," which is very kind of people to be fair and honest like that. So we're finding homes for a lot of our stuff, and it just narrows down to pretty much Moon Knight and Ghost Rider and the Midnight Sun stuff that we have is the only thing that we all collectively just decided, or at least me and Blue, decided that we like, both of us. So when I was going through stuff, I found these packs. And I remember years ago when I lived in California, we bought, I think, a box or two of these because I wanted to make sure I got a whole set. And then we ended up getting an entire set and a bunch of cool glow-in-the-dark cards and stuff. And we got most of the set, I think, if not all of it, before we even hit these packs. And so I just said, I'll save them for a rainy day. Well, it's not raining, but I feel like this is a good day to just open them and find a place for them in my bin, because I have a bin of trading cards and there's enough room for these cards. So I figured let's do it. Let's open these packs. And while we're doing that, you can hear Ace in the background having his little fit because he got his ears cleaned today. And then we'll also, if there's any questions or anyone wants to chat, feel free to jump in the chat. So, all right. I'm just going to keep going as if people are here. It says people are watching, but I understand sometimes people can't, chat and watch. So I get that. So these cards, I think they came out in the early 90s, but let me double check the actual year. 1992. So not too long after the comic book came out, like a year or two after the comic came out. There was a series 1 of Ghost Rider cards. I don't have them. They're really hard to find, and if I do find them on eBay and stuff, a box of them is very expensive. These I actually got back into trading cards a couple years ago before they seemed to get out of control again, where people like during COVID and stuff started recollecting old things, and and a lot of things kept selling out. Or cards are like now more in demand, and people are collecting cards again. But these boxes, I want to say we spent like, I don't know, $20, $30 for an entire box of these. So we got them at a really good deal. But look at that, a glow-in-the-dark card. Sweet. They're not in every pack, but they are not super rare either, I think. I think we have an entire set of these glow-in-the-dark cards. But just this series was just one of my favorites back in the 90s. Like it's I don't remember it, but I have the entire collection, and there was missing issues from it. So post ANEURYSM, I made it kind of like a mission of mine to complete this set of comics that the old me never got a chance to finish, and that's ended up while I was going through it. I was like, well, I'll read them too. Why not? And I ended up becoming a big fan because it reminded me of Supernatural, which I was watching post ANEURYSM after after going through PT or during PT and stuff. They were playing reruns of the first few seasons on like TBS or something every day at like from like 10 to noon or something like that. And so I became really obsessed with the show. I was like, oh, this is really good. And it turned out it was a favorite of mine before the ANEURYSM. And then I found these comics, and I started reading them, and it reminded me of the Winchesters, Danny Ketch and his brother Johnny Blaze. So it kind of reminded me of them hunting demons and stuff. So, which is funny because I guess it was the inverse pre-ANEURYSM, where I was a kid and grew up with Ghost Rider, and because of that fell in love with Supernatural. so funny how things kind of worked in reverse there. But I wanted to pause on this. This is really cool. There's an issue of Moon Knight, Mark Spector Moon Knight, I think issue 25 or somewhere around there, where he interacts with Ghost Rider. So yeah, just really cool. I mean, this 90s series, having reread the entire thing, it's a lot of fun. And you've seen me make videos on his channel, other Seek and Destroy episodes, where I go through the entire collection and I show off, like I showed off the entire collection pretty much. And I was missing some issues. Well, I will say that most of those issues I was missing are now filled. So maybe one day I'll do an updated collection video and we'll go through it all. But yeah, so here you go. Look at these. I'm going to spread some of these out so you can see them. I love this cover. This is I can't remember if it was a Marvel Comics Presents cover. Yeah, I think it was a Marvel Comics Presents, but just really cool. Sam Keith, I think, did this one. Yeah, just awesome. Taking a human life. I've never taken a human life before. Something within prevents this. Ghost Rider. Yeah, he's unable to really kill innocent people. He can only take out those that are guilty. So, yeah, just a couple cards there. So you can kind of see what they look like. Boom. I like this one. Johnny Blaze, who is the original Ghost Rider in the series, in the comic book universe, he's come back and is kind of like this human with this shotgun that shoots like hellfire out of it, and he's got like a family, I think, and stuff, and he's kind of moved on from the Ghost Rider persona, but this whole adventure and the rising of Lilith and all this stuff has brought him back into the battle. And then he later finds out that him and Dan are actually like half brothers or something. They have the same mother, I think. So really, really cool. Yeah, just neat. So it's two brothers on the road hunting things, the usual family business stuff. But that's what's so fun about Supernatural and this Ghost Rider run, is that the similarities are just through the roof. And I know I've talked about that before, but yeah. And if anyone, he's got a hold of his squeaky toy. If anyone's here and you want to ask any questions too, feel free. I appreciate you being here. Whoa, another glow-in-the-dark card. Oh, wow. Oh, and I forgot to turn notifications off. Awesome. That's fantastic. So I apologize for that noise if you're on headphones. Illuminating. Danny Ketch has the ability to physically transform into a mystical being who appears as a flaming skeleton dressed as a motorcyclist. He possesses superhuman strength, speed, and durability. I mean, this is so rock and roll. Like, that's probably my favorite thing about Ghost Rider, is that anytime I see an image of him, I can find a song almost to go along with it, because I'm not a very visual, like I can't close my eyes and picture cool images of Ghost Rider. But when I see one, I'm such a music enthusiast, and I store audio in my head as memories really easily. So I'll just start singing a song. He evokes that out of me, and I think and they're mostly rock songs, so it's really, I mean, I don't know, it's weird how it happens. The Supernatural does it too. Sometimes I'll see the Winchesters in their car, like a picture of them, and I'll just start thinking of like AC/DC or something, or Kansas. So yeah, just really cool imagery. This series, Hobgoblin, made him kind of demonic looking. There's so many cool things. I think Demogoblin popped up in this run too, right? This is the Hobgoblin one, but there were stories with Demogoblin later on, I think. So yeah, and here's the meeting of Johnny Blaze and Dan Ketch on one of the early meetings. So yeah, all right. And the Kubert brothers, when they came in to draw the book, this is something they were cutting their teeth on around the time, because X-Men was, getting big, and some of their art was on X-Men. I think they started on this first and then jumped over to X-Men because Jim Lee was doing X-Men at the time. I can't remember what order, or they just, one brother was on one book, one was on the other, they switched. Like, there was a lot going on, but I love those guys. I love the Kubert brothers. I love their artwork. And then look at this team up here. We have, that's pretty cool, with Hulk. And I always forget that guy's name. Sleepwalker. Yeah, Sleepwalker. Filling in for Wolverine to take on the Sinister Six. I think that's a Rob Liefeld or Eric Larson book. Yeah, I think it's a Larson. And then we have Hag and Troll. These two weirdo villains hey, where's their MCU appearance? Yeah, we need Ghost Rider. We need Midnight Suns. We need all that. Those are cool cards. Where'd you get them? Hey, what's up, Caballero? Yeah, I mentioned the story earlier. Thanks for being here, by the way. I appreciate you coming in. I bought these back when I lived in California. I bought like 2 boxes of these Ghost Rider 2 trading cards. They're from 1992, and we had already made a whole set of them, so I never opened these packs. Like, as I was going through the packs, I was like, oh, I have, we got a whole set. So yeah, I was like, well, let's save these for another day, and then as I was cleaning up and selling off collections, like I sold off my Venom collection, I sold off my Transformer collection, all the figures, all the toys. I have a couple McFarlane figures left, but I'll probably sell them at some point down the road. All right, Ace, calm down. He doesn't like me getting rid of the McFarlane stuff. It's because he likes to chew on them, huh? Because you chewed on 2 of them. You ruined 2 of those figures, and some Marvel Legends. But we're all out of Marvel Legends now, aren't we? So yeah, I got these back then, and so I'm just opening them now. So we can talk about anything, by the way, Caballero. Since you're here, you're the only one who's chatted with me. So if you have questions, you want to talk about any topic, let me know. Let me know what it is, and let me know how the video quality is. It looks a little choppy on my end, but if you can hear me and see me okay, then I'll just keep going. But yeah, if you have questions, you want to talk about something else. This is a Seek and Destroy episode, so anything's on a table. You want to talk about? I mean, we can't. It's hard to talk about movies. And Venom, because obviously the strike. But yeah, so until I hear from Caballero, what I really want for the MCU is, I thought Moon Knight was amazing as a show. I have some criticisms, but I still liked it overall, obviously. I loved it even, or aspects of it. But I really loved Werewolf by Night, the black and white special. So I wouldn't mind just every Christmas, every Halloween, and Christmas too. You could do one of these horror story set in Christmas. But I would love one where they, every year or two, they do another chapter of the Halloween stuff, and they bring in characters like Ghost Rider, and because we have Werewolf by Night now, we got Moon Knight. I would just love to see that. Apparently, they can't get this Blade movie to work, so I'd say even though I think they got a great actor to play Blade, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they got to do something different. Since they can't seem to get it to work. But now we got the strike, so nothing works right now. Look at that, another glow-in-the-dark card. Sweet. Oh, dude, this is who is this guy? Blackout, I think. Yeah, because he gets hit with the shotgun, the Hellfire shotgun, and man, does it mangle him up. Pretty good. So yeah, Caballero says, for sure, if it's a little choppy, but I can hear you perfectly, how would you introduce Ghost Rider to MCU? Are you going to ignore the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. cameo? Yeah, it's tough, because is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. part of the continuity anymore? And sorry, it's choppy. I really am. I don't know why that is. I have great internet here, and I don't know. I'm sorry about that. But as long as you can hear me okay, that's great. Yeah, as far as Ghost Rider though, like I don't know, I don't want to ignore the Robbie Reyes stuff because I thought that was some of my favorite stuff in the MC universe. I guess the Agents of Shield show. It brought me back to watching that show because I had kind of given up on that show. I didn't really like it too much, but then they brought Ghost Rider in, and I thought the whole story with him and the Darkhold was fantastic. But I think by the end of that show, they had admitted that is a side universe where Coulson was able to be revived, and even though there was a Nick Fury in his universe and there were similarities, after season 1 or 2, the show goes in a different direction from the main Marvel universe, effectively making it a multiverse story, I guess. So I guess you kind of have to ignore it now. At least that's from my understanding. But if I'm wrong on that, let me know. So if I had a clean slate, I would do something like Werewolf by Night, where Werewolf by Night felt like a period piece, even though it was modern day, and it's because it was the way that it was shot and the way the music was and the way people dressed for the most part. I would do that with Ghost Rider and do like an Evel Knievel at the circus show, like where it's a 1 hour special and you bring him in black and white, like this. I mean, how cool would that look on screen? And then at the end, go into color like they did with Elsa Bloodstone, or maybe not repeat that because it's already been done, but maybe go color halfway through. So show him like as Dan Ketch through the first half of the 1 hour special, and do it black and white and everything. And I would probably do Dan Ketch because I would like to bring in Johnny Blaze as a former Ghost Rider to mentor Danny Ketch. So I would kind of have that Winchester vibe to them. But yeah, thanks for putting up with the choppiness. I'm sorry for that. And I'm just gonna flip through some of these cards. Ace is making a lot of noise. He makes it difficult for some people who are like, hey, you haven't live streamed in a long time. Well, with switching and stress and the stuff I was going through, it would have been a bad idea. But lately I've been on other people's shows and I've been able to hold my own for a couple hours even. So that's fine. But the big issue is Ace. Ace is going through a number of health issues right now. And so he's unpredictable. He can make a lot of noise. That's why I do edited content, because in case there's stuff going on outside, or traffic or noise or whatever it is, I can edit that out. Or if I misspeak, I can edit it out. But so Ace does make it a little difficult sometimes, because sometimes he'll come over right next to where I'm recording and just bark into the camera, or fart or whatever. And sometimes it's funny and cute, and sometimes it's like, dude, I've had a long day. I don't know when I'm going to switch. I don't have much time to make this video. I'm starting to stress out. Could you please just relax? And he doesn't, he wants to have fun. He's like, oh, you just got home from work. I want to hang out with you. And so it gets tough sometimes. But not like an annoying way. I'd much rather, if he wants that attention, I'd much rather give it to him than make a video, to be honest. Because especially lately with the strikes and stuff, there's just not really a lot of content to make. And wow, we got 2 of these in the same pack. They really love their Morbius. And I like this retro cover here. This is what I would do for the show, kind of. Like, I guess if I did Evel Knievel, I would do Johnny Blaze, I guess. But if I got to do something more modern, I would do flashback sequences in black and white with Johnny Blaze in the carnival, and then make it modern day story as Dan Ketch, and then find out at the end that they're brothers, and that Johnny is the former Ghost Rider or something. I would probably do something like that. I definitely want to play the brother aspect a little bit. Yeah, look at these. Oh, Deathlock. Speaking of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. There you go. Hey, the Chosen One. What's up, dude? Just quickly drop it in to show some love. I appreciate that, man. And thank you for the prayers and the support and everything. I mean, you donated some money to us back when we were prepaying for some of his surgery and doing the GoFundMe, and you're amazing, dude. And I'm so glad to see your channel blowing up and doing so great. Yeah, it's awesome, man. It's really cool to see. So thank you for being here, man. Thanks for popping by. Caballero said, I never finished the show. LOL. I think 1 hour special would be cool. I really like the Werewolf by Night special. Question, do any of the Ghost Riders ever manage to get rid of their curse? Yeah, technically Johnny did. Technically he did. So, but I don't think they ever fully told that story. And then he got it back, so it didn't make the downside about the way Johnny got his back was I thought it was lazy, even though the stories were pretty cool. But it was because, the movie's coming out and the movie's going to be Johnny Blaze with Nick Cage. So we got to bring Johnny back in the comics. It was one of those decisions. And I'm like, no, but they did such a great job of moving on, leaving Johnny and kind of ending it with Dan as well. They could have started a whole new thing, which they eventually did. They did Alejandra and they did, Robbie Reyes. But they went back to Johnny for a number of years. And even though some of those were cool stories with amazing art by Clayton Crane, I almost would sacrifice those books, or make them all of them set in the past. I think one was about a cowboy Ghost Rider, which was amazing. But I would much rather that than keep going with Johnny, or bring Johnny back. I thought his story ended, and I don't know, some of these characters, they need to get a happy ending in some way. I think all their struggles have to pay off sometimes. And things can be moved on. And Ghost Rider is one of those characters like where you can change the identity, I feel. And, that's my opinion. All right. So we got another glow. Yeah. So I guess the glow in the dark cards are in every pack. I don't know. But there's Johnny, and he's got his old biker Ghost Rider shirt on, which I love. I like this design. It's simple, but it's like, he's got earth tone colors, brown, a lot of brown and tan and stuff. But with the blue shirt, which I like the contrast, of him trying to cover up his old life. I don't know. I think that's cool. And then I love Dan's look. Like, Dan looks amazing. Like, his Ghost Rider is iconic. I think he looks the coolest out of all the Ghost Riders. Although I do love Robbie Reyes, a Ghost Rider in a Charger. But I do like Dan's look. It's so wicked looking. Hey, there's Moon Knight, our boy. So yeah, I would definitely play up this angle though, the two brothers. That's what I would hang on to. If I brought him into the MCU. Here's Mephisto. How cool is that? That image is just solid. Yeah. Yeah, and here's the new Fantastic Four. I love this. What a wild team. So when Dan Ketch first popped up, there was all these preview images of him, and I think in like Marvel Age and some other magazines, they were like showing him off, and people started getting really excited, like for a new Ghost Rider, and they were, so when he came out, they hit the ground running. He was in Marvel Comics Presents, which was a book that featured Wolverine mostly, and that got a lot of eyes on him. Then people checked out the monthly comic of Ghost Rider, which also was amazing because it was very fitting for the 90s. Like, soon after this, Spawn came, like there was a darker tone. People liked Batman being darker, like there was, Batman Returns, I think, was coming out in the theaters. Like, so there was a lot of, like, people liked having contrast. They liked having dark characters. They liked Punisher being not a hero type in the sense of superheroes, but like someone who would go out there and just wipe out drug dealers, there was just a lot of that people were into it. And like I said, this is very metal. This is like Ghost Rider is just like as a concept is just so rock and roll. And that music was changing at that time too. So I don't know. There's a lot of cool things I think that pushed people into Ghost Rider. But speaking of Punisher, but he benefited, I think, by coming out when he did and telling a good story. Howard Mackie and the team did a great job on this version of Ghost Rider, making him accessible for new readers. And then Marvel was like, we got to put him in everything. So they put him in the Fantastic Four temporarily. They put him in, Marvel Comics Presents. They put him everywhere. It's crossovers left and right. And yeah, just really cool. There's Snowblind. I want these characters in the MCU. Yeah, that's cool. That's a neat image. Ace. Oh. All right, buddy. Calm down. I know. You gotta stop though. You gotta stop. Check out all this weird writing reminds me of Supernatural, like big time, right? Interesting. Not gonna lie, confused Dan Ketch Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider. Do you really? They're so, even me without like the visual kind of storage, there are certain things I look for on each one. Johnny's is very clean. I feel like I don't have an image here of him in the Ghost Rider form, but Johnny's kind of clean. He's got like the tight blue shirt, the tight pants. Um, the way the flames are sometimes drawn, the lack of spikes. You know, whereas and he has colors. He's more superhero-y in a way. Whereas Dan is not. Dan is very goth. He's very 90s. Teenager slash young man, early 20s young man. Um, Dan's an interesting character too because he's kind of a little bit. Howard Mackey said he did a few things that were kind of like self-inserts where Dan Ketch was he would go visit graveyards in New York, and apparently Howard Mackey would do that. He would just go hang out in graveyards, which is a thing I think still, but was a thing back then, where people would just go hang out in graveyards at night and drink and be up to shenanigans. Hopefully not vandalize anything. I always thought that was really crappy when that was done. I think we got the same exact pack. Yeah, that's like every card is the same exact. So I'm just gonna skip it. But yeah, so Howard Mackey had talked about an interview where he was like, yeah, I used to hang out in graveyards, so that's how I came up with the origin of my Ghost Rider. I just had him hanging out in graveyards. I thought that was funny. Sweet. But yeah, there's some things you can look out for on Johnny and Dan. Dan is always going to be black, where it's like so black that there's blue highlights on it. He'll have spikes on his shoulders, spikes around his ankle, like on his calves there. He's got cool like cowboy boots in a way. Sometimes there's spurs on him, sometimes there isn't. So there's still like a Western influence on Dan, which I like. He's on his steed, which is this is him fighting Blackout, but he's on his steed where essentially his horse, which is his motorcycle. That's a theme running in Ghost Rider. I think Ghost Rider as a Western is a really cool idea. That's why I like Noble Kale and some of these other guys, the caregiver, like some of them have been, they've been Ghost Riders in the past, like back in the Wild West days. I love that shot. I'm not a big fan of the Ghost Rider movie with Nick Cage, but I'm very critical of it. But that shot of them riding on the horse is amazing. Actually, I have that image. I'm gonna show it to you. I have that on my wall back here. Actually, I think it was Blue's idea to hang it up too, and I'm glad because I thought we lost that. I bought it on eBay, that image, like a high gloss photo, and I thought we lost it or got destroyed, and turns out we found it. So, but this is cool. This is the big crossover for Midnight Suns. So you have Blade and the Night Stalkers over here. You got the Protectors of the Darkhold. You got Morbius, Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze, and then you got Lilith and all of her ilk back here. And for anyone who watched me play the Midnight Suns video game, which I absolutely loved, all 62 episodes, I think, are over on my gaming channel. That was a long playthrough, but I loved it. We played that game for 5 months. It took me to beat that game. Now, granted, I didn't play it every day, but that's how long it took. Okay, when I was first introduced to Ghost Rider, I thought there was literally only one, to find out there was several. Yeah, it's one of those where he's a legacy character, which is neat. Not someone I would expect to be a legacy character. Marvel doesn't have a ton of those, unfortunately. DC does legacy characters, I think, 10 times better than Marvel. But yeah, I think Ghost Rider is one of those legacy characters where every like 20 years you can totally revamp him, or 10 years. You could change the identity of the Ghost Rider. You could change what the story is about. I just don't like when there's like multiple Ghost Riders at once. Kind of like how I don't like how there's like dozens of symbiotes at once. I think it starts to dilute. Same with Spider-Man. There's like millions of Spider-Man now. I think it kind of dilutes and makes, it doesn't make Peter less special because Miles is around. That's not it at all. I think Miles is great as a legacy character, but then you got to do things with Peter that works for Peter, and you got to, I don't know. I think they just don't know how to do or create Peter stories anymore because they do such a pretty good job, at least with Miles. And sorry, I just wanted to go grab, I wanted to go grab this. I don't know if it'll show up without the reflection of but yeah, look at that. Just cool. One of the coolest shots in that movie. Yeah, you can see my reflection in it. Just one of the coolest shots in that movie. Sweet. Yeah, I love that. That just scene and just, yeah, it's that I was so happy someone like on eBay had like a high res, you know, screenshot of it and was like, hey, I'll print it and I can make a poster out of it. And I said, well, I don't want a poster because I've ordered posters of images on eBay before and they don't come out well. Like from a distance, they look okay, but when you get up close, they look really, really bad. So I don't like bad quality photos hanging on the wall if I can help it. So with that one, I was like, okay, cool. I'll buy it like as an 8.5 by 11. And boy, I'm glad I made that decision because it is so cool. Yeah, Ghost Riders in the Sky. I love that song. I'm not going to sing it for copyright reasons. Not that I could sing it well, but yeah, that scene is peak savage. Nicely put. This is cool. This is a Ghost Rider in Cable, I think. Yeah, Cable. This is from one of the first books that Tom DeFalco handled as an editor. How cool is that? Little trivia for you, for Tom DeFalco fans out there. Speaking of legacy characters, I think Tom DeFalco was part of the Mayday Parker stuff with Spider-Man. But Cable and Ghost Rider met in the pages of Marvel Comics Presents. So again, like they were just, Cable was very popular at the time. They're like, hey, let's have him fight Ghost Rider. and Sam Keith was like, I'll draw that, and they even released that as like a standalone graphic novel. Oh, they didn't call them graphic novels back then. They called them trades, I think, or paperbacks, but which they still are. But yeah, the term graphic novel was more of like Watchmen kind of time era, where Watchmen was sold as single issues, but when it became a collected volume, I don't know, graphic novel was like a fancy term they came up with and put it on the New York bestseller list, and it sold like crazy. So yeah, just graphic novels, they weren't always called that. Oh, here we go. I was wondering if we were going to get another one of these because these were hard to find. I think in that entire 2 boxes, we only got 2 of these, and so we got a third one here. So that's pretty cool. I like the coloring on that side. It's like the faded. Yeah, it's cool looking. This is neat. You ever wonder what Ghost Rider looks like shirtless? Well, there you go. He's rib cages and spinal cord. So yeah, very cool. A lot of snowblind images. This is who is that? Death Watch. Yeah, Death Watch. I was like, I forget his name. Yeah, Death Watch. There's Nightmare, the character that everyone kept rumoring was going to be in Doctor Strange 2. I love fan rumors because they're very rarely correct. Sometimes leaks will be correct because someone blabbed their mouth and they ruined something for us. But fan theories are fun. I've learned that doing the Venom vlog, where we all would, even myself, would come up with like, oh, this could be this could be that, and then you watch the movie and it's nothing nearly that smart or clever or referential to the comics or source material. It's like it's never that. So I've learned to kind of dumb my fan theories down like big time, so that way if it is something that's more clever, I get surprised in a positive way. Do I think Nightmare should have been the focus of Doctor Strange 2? No, I think I like Doctor Strange 2. I thought it was an okay movie. I'm not one of those like, I am critical of Marvel movies, but I have since the beginning. Like I loved the first Iron Man, but I was very critical of the second Iron Man. I kind of like the first Thor, but I was critical of the second Thor. I kind of like the first Captain America, but I love the second one. So like, I've always been like, I'm just, I have a critical mind. I'm an editor, so I always look for things, not to critique it, but if something stands out, look at that, right through the hand. I mention it. Oh, there's a cool shot of Lilith. Yeah, she's awesome. She's a cool villain. She turned out to be really neat in the video game. This is from The Rise of the Midnight Suns, the ancient mother of all supernatural evil. She was created first before Eve, and because she was prone to evil and manipulation and things like that, and creatures that were like banished by God, she got cast down to hell with Lucifer and Mephisto, I guess, or whoever. So Mephisto's not really Lucifer in Marvel's comics. He's just a devil. He's not the devil. But yeah, so Lilith, she wrote a cool character. I'm so glad she was the star of that video game, and that maybe some more people know about her now. This was a cool crossover between them. But as far as Nightmare goes, yeah, I don't know. I thought Doctor Strange 2 was fine. Like, I'm like a lot of people with Marvel Phase 4 after Endgame. Like, I felt like there's a theme for sure. It's, these inexperienced heroes kind of stepping up in a world where that's already been saved by very experienced heroes. And there's these cool themes that pop up in all the movies, but I just haven't liked a ton of the Phase 4 stuff. I liked Shang-Chi, fine, that was okay, a lot of fun. That reminded me of like a early Marvel kind of movie, but I liked Moon Knight a lot because it was different. I liked Werewolf by Night a lot because it was different, and I want to see a build up for the supernatural characters. I don't really care about the cosmic stuff, and now that Guardians is done, I'm kind of like, yeah, let's, you know, I don't know, kind of whatever their plan is with the next Avengers movie, just like get to it quick, and move on, because I'd rather either start seeing X-Men stuff or Midnight Suns stuff, and I'll be honest with you, once we start getting like one supernatural Marvel movie a year, if they go that route, I will not watch any of the other ones. My one movie a year will be Blade, Elsa Bloodstone, Ghost Rider, Ted, whatever they decide to do. I'll watch those, but I'll lose interest in the superhero stuff really quickly when I start getting options. So, yeah. But yeah, Nightmare or Doctor Strange 2, like I thought the movie was fine the way it was. I had some criticisms of it, but I don't know, Nightmare, the hard part about telling a story where it's Doctor Strange versus Nightmare is that you have to find a way to tie it into the bigger theme now of what the Marvel Universe is. And Nightmare, at least, I don't know if he would have fit. That's a great villain to have, Doctor Strange versus Nightmare and Baron Mordo. Like, that's a great movie, but it's not going to connect a lot to the other Marvel stuff. And I kind of wish Marvel would do that sometimes. That's what I liked about Moon Knight, was that it had references to Black Panther and the gods and, Basset and that kind of stuff. But it also did its own thing. It didn't really reference the blip at all. And it just kind of told its own story and set in the Marvel Universe. And I'm like, and same with Werewolf by Night. And I'm like, yeah, I like that. Like, I don't need every little thing to connect. I'd rather them just go, all right, we told Endgame, and now we're just going to go tell a bunch of fun superhero stories that don't really connect for a while and try some new things. And I felt like they started that and then got afraid. And like, no, we got to make it connect. We got to bring in Kang and multiverse. And okay, we're doing that, but that's kind of falling apart. And they're starting to act like Warner Brothers. They're very reactionary, and they're not committing. And they need to stop thinking of stories in like 30 movie increments also. After Endgame, it's like, dude, you won. So just do like Phase 4 and make that one thing. And then do Phase 5 and make that its own thing. But trying to redo the success of Marvel again by the same people, essentially, I think that's where they're falling, because they're trying too hard to do different things that aren't don't make things feel connected or feel like it has a purpose. And when it does, you do something like Quantumania, which is like, we're setting up Kang, and like Loki set him up, and now we're gonna do, like, you're gonna meet him and blah blah blah, and then Ant-Man kills him. And you're just kind of like, oh, I was kind of hoping Ant-Man would die at the end of that movie. Scott Lang, I was like, that would have shown some balls from Marvel if they take one of their most likable characters like Ant-Man and kill him, and then boom, you set up the Young Avengers right there, because now you have Cassie, who wants revenge for her dad being killed, and there's no Avengers around, so then she puts together the Young Avengers, which then eventually will get Iron Lad on the team, who, I don't want to spoil who Iron Lad is, his identity, if you don't know it, but that would have been cool to make that Phase 5, is just be like, all right, she's going to build the Young Avengers, and their goal is to take down Kang or something. And I would have been on board for that. But unfortunately, they were just like, oh yeah, he beat Kang, but there's more Kangs. I'm like, yeah, but if one Kang who talked a big game and saying he was able to kill multiple Thors and Iron Mans and Captain Americas and Hulks, and then he gets killed by Ant-Man, I'm not trying to undercut Ant-Man and say he's not cool or that he didn't have a slight advantage in the quantum realm on some level, but I don't know, I didn't dig it. Like, maybe Nightmare could be a build-up to a villain for the Midnight Suns. If you did Nightmare as, like, one of Lilith's henchmen in Midnight Suns, I'd be okay with that. That'd be kind of cool. Or if you put Nightmare in, like, like a Blade movie. Like, that's the thing, is I'm getting tired of... that's the Marvel formula too, where it's like, hey, we'll have Blade versus Dracula. It's like, okay, yeah, I guess he fights vampires and stuff, but I want to see characters not fight their equal counterpart all the time too. Like that's one of the things I liked about Venom Let There Be Carnage was they brought Shriek in, and I'm like, cool, you have someone who's not a symbiote fighting symbiotes, like that's neat. There's some contrast there. I like contrast, as you guys know. But I didn't like like I don't know, I don't want to see I've seen Blade versus Dracula already, like I kind of want to see Blade do something different. So maybe he is fighting vampires, but maybe he is fighting Dracula, but Dracula is like, look, this guy is unstoppable. We're kind of afraid of him, like kind of how the first Blade movie was, where everyone was just afraid of Blade. They were just like, all the vampires like, oh crap, it's him. Look at that, Wolverine versus Ghost Rider, which by the way, I just got that mini series, and we'll probably talk about it on the new Siike at Night show at some point. Look at that size right in the eyes. That's cool. But anyway, yeah. So like Nightmare, like I don't know, that'd be cool if like Dracula was like, okay, we live in a world with superheroes and supervillains. So I'm going to go recruit one of them or work with one of them to take down Blade. And then you bring Nightmare in, and then you have these interesting sequences with Blade in in dream sequences, which we never got in the other movies. So you can get inside Blade's head a little bit, maybe see what he's afraid of on some level, and kind of give you a little bit of a different look at Blade. I don't know. I think that could be cool. So that's how I would use a character like Nightmare is, I would make him the contrast element in like a Marvel supernatural movie. You could even do Werewolf by Night and Ted versus Nightmare in the next Halloween special. I would watch that too to see what it's like to be inside Ted or Man-Thing. That could be neat as well. I like mixing up. This is very neat. It's a shame we can't see Venom vs. Ghost Rider. Oh man, yeah, I love those two. Together, like Spirits of Vengeance is one of my favorite stories, and in that one we learned a lot about the symbiote, like the fact that the Hellfire on Ghost Rider doesn't burn the symbiote. It's fire, but it's supernatural fire, so it reacts differently the symbiote reacts differently to it. But then also we learned that in that book that the penance stare that Ghost Rider does not work on Venom, because the eyes that the symbiote creates over Eddie protects him somehow from whatever supernatural voodoo is coming through Ghost Rider's eyes when he does the penance stare. So look at that. There's I think that's the fire shotgun from Johnny up against Dan's head there. Yeah, using a shotgun which has been bathed in hellfire, Johnny Blaze badly wounds Ghost Rider. He like shoots him. I think he shoots him in the arm or something. I think that's the image on the back there too. Krakoom! You gotta love that lettering, man. Shout out to letterers. Morbius, and then yeah, so that's old school Ghost Rider right there. Johnny, you can see he's a little bit more superhero looking. It's more blue than black. I mean, it's supposed to be black, I think, but just with blue highlights. But I don't know, it's blue. I think it's blue with some shadows on it. His bike is kind of a retro bike. Big pipes on it. It does burst into flames, but it doesn't have that big shield. There's not a ton of spikes on him, or any spikes on him. I don't think he has a chain either. I think he does sometimes, but not here, obviously. So yeah, I don't know. There's a way to tell them apart, I think. Especially with Dan's later costume. Near the end of Dan Ketch's run, he had like a red costume. He kind of went more superhero-y with his look, which I also like. I mean, I didn't have anything against that. The stories were a little weak at times, but I didn't hate the look, at least. So yeah, Venom stays winning, right? Yeah, like an Avengers movie, but no Avengers involved, and the Midnight Suns become its only movie series. I mean, yeah, they can still do that kind of stuff, but I think it's time for the Marvel Universe to I don't know, just pick a lane. Like for me, I would do Halloween specials, and just for the next 10 years, and just make that its own pocket of the Marvel Universe. I wouldn't put Werewolf by Night and Blade and some of these other characters in stories with the Avengers. Although that's a cool it's cool contrast, I'm sure. But I would rather see them kind of stay in their own lane and and kind of fight monsters. I think that would be a lot of fun. Maybe bring Hulk in, because it would be cool to see Hulk, smashing demons or something. Although that's just going to be a CGI thing versus a CGI thing, and I'm not always a fan of that either. What color should Venom be? Dark blue, black, or dark purple? All of them. You can do whatever you want with Venom. I don't care. He's a symbiote. He can change. His texture is black, I think, but I imagine if he can turn into clothes that are not black sometimes, which sometimes he's done, sometimes he hasn't. Sometimes he's just black clothes, but like Peter, like in the animated series, could look like the singer from Aerosmith, as he said, and so he the colors of his clothes change with the symbiote, and I'm like, oh, okay, well then that's it. Like then that's what I would do with the symbiote. Is he could be purple one day, dark blue, whatever. Yeah, the Avengers deal with the space wackos, not supernatural. I mean, yeah, it's cool contrast to see Avengers versus supernatural characters, but I don't need it for the movies. Like do it in the cartoons or something. That's fine, but I don't need it for the movies, personally. So yeah. Anyway, Caballero, dude, it was so nice hanging out with you. This is pretty much like the Siike hangs out with Caballero show, but I like that. It was nice to catch up with you, and I'm sorry about the choppiness. If the quality bothers people, I can always download this and re-edit it and put other footage over it, or do something, if I need to. But for now, I think I'm gonna log off. My head's starting to bother me. This light is like right in my face, so if I can, I'm gonna try to go record something pre-recorded to upload to the channel over the weekend. So I might go do that. Although I look a little grizzly, I have a lot of facial hair right now, and my hair is getting longer. So, maybe I'll just do like a slight trim on the beard, clean up my neck a little bit. I got to do that for work anyway. And then figure out like how to style my hair now that it's getting longer. But I'll be back. I don't know how many live streams we'll do, but the Siike at Night show will be starting soon. And it'll be in October, but I might actually get one episode up by the end of September. And then the Venom vlog, we'll come back and talk about some comic books and the death of Venomverse when it ends and all that. But I'll be honest, after 5 years and no movie news, I'm a little burnt out on the Venom stuff, to be completely honest. And I'm just right now waiting for the new video game to come out, Spider-Man 2. And when that does come out, we will do live streams on this channel from the PlayStation 5 and play that game and hang out with each other and talk and stuff. So this is not the end of live streams. It'll just be the next ones we do will be video game related, and we'll be playing the new Spider-Man game. So I look forward to that and looking forward to hanging out with you. Yes, no worries. I saw you on live and I jumped in. Dude, I'm so glad you did, because otherwise I would have just been here by myself opening cards and just talking into the wind. So thank you for being here, man, and I will see you next time for sure. And everyone out there, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and leave any comments you have down in the comments below. And if you have questions about anything, since we mainly talked about supernatural Marvel characters on this is still Seek and Destroy episode, so if you have questions about other stuff, leave them in the comments and I'll reply as soon as I can. Thank you. See you in the future. Peace.